Western settlement and development was slowed by the Civil War, but immediately following the war, attention was put back to developing and expanding outward into the West. Railroads began to expand more and more into the vast expanse of the American West. These new railroads sparked an increase in activities like mining and ranching. The most significant part of Western railroads was the creation of the Transcontinental Railroad. This railroad was commissioned to two companies and was to stretch from Sacramento to Omaha. The railroad was completed in 1869, and both rails came together in Promontory Point, Utah. This railroad linked the markets of Eastern and Western America and decreased the time needed to cross America from months to days. Every culture group had its own reason for Western migration. Discoveries such as the California Gold Rush and the Comstock Lode in Nevada were some of the primary reasons for movement west. This widespread quest for minerals brought the creation of boomtowns, which would form around mining areas. Boomtowns would appear overnight and vanish just as fast. Ranching became another big hit in the West. Cattle would be herded from Texas and driven north towards market areas and railroads. Ranching boomed in the 1870s but quickly began to decline in the next decade into more sustainable levels. The Homestead Act was introduced in the 1860s, encouraged Western development by selling land for a very low price and for the promise to improve the land. Over 200 million acres of land was claimed by homesteaders. This group greatly outnumbered all other groups which were competing for the West. As Western expansion continued, Native Indians gained more and more contact with permanent white settlers. Feelings for Native Indians by settlers were unforgiving and violent towards Indian culture. The Sand Creek Massacre led to the deaths of over 100 Native Indians, where over half were women and children. The United States wanted to civilize Native Americans in any way possible. Schools were opened to teach Indian children about agriculture and mechanics. The main purpose of these schools was to destroy Native languages and culture. The Dawes Act split tribal lands into 160-acre allotments and sold excess land to white settlers. One of the largest immigrant groups to come to the U.S. as a direct result of Western expansion was the Chinese. The Chinese immigrated for many reasons, including the California Gold Rush and the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad. The Chinese Exclusion Act was passed in order to prevent any more immigration from China. Throughout the entirety of Western settlement, regard for environmental impact was very low. All settlement groups had their own impact. The American buffalo was nearly hunted to extinction. Mining operations on the commercial level permanently scarred the land and ruined watersheds with hazardous materials. Ranchers overgrazed the land, and the population of wild cattle began to dwindle. These impacts led to the creation of preserves such as Yellowstone National Park. There were many reasons for migration into Western lands, and each group competed for these lands for their own reason. In the end, the land was left beaten and left with the impact of decades of unrestricted abuse through mining, ranching, hunting, and farming.